Hi everyone! Happy Easter! Happy spring! Happy beautiful day here in California. And we just came off this heavy energy of the full moon. So if you are feeling at this point in time, in this day, a little emotional, or you're feeling this upwelling of energy that you don't know where it's coming from, please know you're not being punished. You're experiencing the resurrection power of love. Today we're going to explore that in all of its fullness. What is resurrection power, and more importantly, how can you use it? This is Marcia Martin. I'm here with you on Angel Heart Radio, and we'll be right back to say more about resurrection power.
Angel Heart Radio programs should not be used to replace your legal or medical advice. Welcome everyone to Angel Heart Radio. You are our focus. We want you to know that you matter in the world and that you're important to the world. We're here to remind you of just how valuable and needed you are right now. Help us to help others. If you like what you hear, tell your friends, post, tweet, pin, let everyone know how amazing Angel Heart Radio is. So again, welcome to Angel Heart Radio. Powered by love, Angel Heart Radio is sponsored by AngelLight777.com.
And we're back. It's Marcia Martin, the Heart Healer, wanting to talk with you about how you can use this energy to your benefit. I want always for you to come from the place of, this can be for my highest good if I allow it to be so. When you come from that place, you're stepping out of fear and you're stepping in to the ultimate place of unconditional love. And when you connect all of your being and you're in beautiful alignment with Source, your life flows from a place of perfection. Now, we are here in this physical plane, on these physical journeys, because we've chosen to learn and to grow. So that means that things may not always go perfectly. They may not always go the way we had planned. And that's okay. We're here to learn. But one thing I want you to remember is that you were perfect yesterday, you are perfect today, and you will be perfect tomorrow. It's not that you're not perfect. It's just that you're not yet complete. Completion is when we become completely unified and one with God, that there's no part of us that we're holding separate. And that's what we're doing. We are learning to get to that place in our choice to be here in a physical journey over and over and over again. When we're in the energetic form, we know that we are united and one with God. We know that we can manifest instantaneously. But we also realize that there is a limited amount of growth that's occurring because we don't have anything to push against. So, believe it or not, we are excited to go on these physical journeys. We're delighted that we have this opportunity to separate, in our minds at least, separate from all of the appearance of God and attempt to do it on our own, attempt to do it with challenges. Now, when we make this choice, we are absolutely convinced that we're going to remember that we're one with God, because we haven't experienced anything different. Or if we have experienced it, we're now back in the energetic, and we can't really imagine believing anything other than being one with God. So it does come as a bit of a shock when we forget and wake up in these physical bodies that are separate from other beings and discover, hey, there's a little bit of work involved in this. So, how do we come back from those dark periods and put the power of the resurrection into our lives? Well, let's look at the dark periods as though they are the winter months of our lives. Now, traditionally, winter is a time when it's colder and we tend to stay indoors. But it can also be a period or a time in your life when there has been heartbreak, pain, trauma. You are recovering from a situation that may not have been serving your highest good, but you agreed to participate in this experience because it was going to serve your highest good in the big picture. It was going to give you an experience that you otherwise would not have been able to participate in. And so that's why you may have agreed to this experience, or why you may have put this particular challenge into your life journey when you were planning it in your spiritual, energetic state. So this period of winter, when it can either be cold outside or you feel that you're in the cold, you've been the victim or the recipient of a experience that was painful, and you want to withdraw, you want to go inward, you're feeling like a wounded animal, and the only thing you want to do is go away into a corner and lick your wounds. Well, that's a wonderful thing. It's good to withdraw, to take time to look at what's happening in your life, to look at this experience that was painful for you, and just withdraw from the noise of society, from being an active participant. Have a moment to review the situation and discover whether you feel that this is the way that you want your life to unfold. You know, if we never look at things, if we never reflect on what's happened, we're never going to be able to make positive changes. So please, leave your judgment and your self-criticism at the door, and just look at the situation and ask yourself some very powerful questions, which is, I see that this has been hurtful to me. What was my participation in it? Why did I feel that I needed to allow this to happen? What is it that I want to take from this moving forward so that I don't continue to attract these kinds of situations, or so that I will not be of the energetic vibration that will enable me to participate in these circumstances in the future? If I see that this kind of thing is unfolding, I will be able to move myself out of the situation and into a place that does feel good. So let's begin first by assessing the winter season as a way to recover, or just because it is cold outside, a good excuse for spending time with yourself. When you're in the winter season, this is when you want to do the work of learning. You did the work of assessing. Okay, hey, this is not something that I want to participate in. Or you're really just in winter in terms of temperature, and you decide, hey, I can devote more time to my spiritual study. So when you are doing that spiritual study, spend time meditating in contemplation and focusing inward on the active experience of healing. Allow yourself the time to learn new tools and techniques, and then use them to heal and build yourself. Use this period as an opportunity to strengthen. So that means you're going to have to spend time actively learning these skills and then applying what you've learned. Don't be in a hurry. The winter, if you're in a winter seasonal time when the temperature is discouraging you from spending a lot of time outside, is going to be at least 3 months. That's plenty of time to learn a new habit, reinforce it, and then practice it so that it will be your go-to program when something comes up. Just honor yourself by giving yourself at least 3 months. So it's about 90 days. That's not an extensive period of time. But if you start every new thing that you want to learn or you want to incorporate in your life, and you start off with the idea, first I'm going to commit to 21 days. It's going to take me at least 21 days to go from this old way of doing something to this new way of being. So for 21 days, commit to practice. You are going to let go of all of the self-criticism and self-condemnation during those 21 days. Expect that there will be times when you catch yourself doing something the old way. It's okay. Expect it. Assume that unless you are 100% present 100% of the time, there are going to be times when you're going to slip into an old habit. So don't bring out the fire hose of condemnation. Just say, oh my gosh, I'm so incredibly proud of myself because I caught this mistake or this old way of being before I fully engaged in this behavior. That's if you catch it in the beginning. If you have followed it all the way through and you made a huge mess and you've got big cleanup detail because you've engaged fully in the old pattern, I still want you to congratulate yourself, because if you are noticing it all, that is a huge step forward. Wow, look at me. I am so amazing. I was able to recognize this pattern, which ordinarily would have run on and on and on without me giving my attention to it. And it would have created an even bigger disaster. So yeah, I've got cleanup to do, but good for me because I was able to catch this at some point along its journey. So 21 days, you're just practicing, and practicing. You're not expecting it to be automatic. You're really going to try to do your best to be present and be focused during that 21-day period. But why don't we just, to make it even easier, commit to 1 month? Commit to 30 days where you are allowing yourself to sort of be in the incubator stage. When people come to me to work with me, I always say to them, that first month when we work together, especially if it's one-on-one coaching, you're in the incubator. I'm going to do the work for you. I'm going to present all of the material. You just get to be cocooned in my love so that you can easily recover from whatever pain or trauma or whatever limiting beliefs or negative thinking you're up against that are holding you stuck. So put yourself in the incubator, in the cocoon. Draw on my love, which is flowing freely for all of you to receive. Even if you're not doing work with me personally, you can still listen to these broadcasts and hook into the energy. Yes, it's more difficult when you're doing it on your own, but you can do it. If you want the help, then you go to my website, marciamartinthehearthealer.com, and that's Marcia spelled Marcia. You go to my website and you can either schedule a consultation to inquire about coaching, and that would be one-on-one, or even better, I have now created a community. There are different ways that you can engage in the community so that it will give you the benefits that you desire or that you need, depending on where you are in your spiritual journey and what would fit in your budget. So there's something for everyone, and at 3 different price points, so that you can receive what you need when you need it. So you've committed to doing the practice. You've committed to being really present. You've committed to being just completely removed from the place of criticism and blame. Just let go of that. Be in the state of unconditional love. So, you're in your first 30 days, and you're going to continue going within and connecting with the divine. This is the time when you want to really deepen that bond, because as you move forward back into your daily life and you become busier, it will be easier for you if you've already done the work to deepen your connection to Source. It will be easier to hear them amidst the noise of the day if you spent your winter time, that 3 months where you were really connecting deeply. If you've spent that time building and strengthening that spiritual muscle, it will be just that much easier for you as you move back out into the world. So deepen the bond and open to the light, that love that they're pouring forth. Really allow yourself to be filled. It is so important that you be filled. Now, as we move into the spring, into that putting that power of resurrection, of reviving you from the ashes of your destruction, you're going to be your own phoenix, coming out of those ashes, being reborn into a new state where you are stronger than you could ever have been if you hadn't gone through this painful, traumatic period. Or if you just hadn't spent the time going within and becoming that beautiful, perfect spiritual self that you can be. So no time is ever wasted. When we have a traumatic event or a painful period, it definitely acts as a catalyst. But you don't have to wait for pain in order to really hop onto your spiritual journey. If you can do it without the pain, God bless you, hats off to you. I waited until it was so incredibly painful that I had no choice. But that is not what I would advise for any of you to do. So, take the advice that I'm offering you today and do not wait until life becomes so painful that you're choosing between ending everything, which doesn't end anything because we continue on as eternal spirits. And I really have to share with you that if you have chosen to suicide as a way to deal with the pain, it doesn't get dealt with at all. Remember, we are everlasting beings, and it's my understanding that when you choose suicide as a way to address the problem, you are then given another physical journey, another lifetime in which to face the same problem. So suicide is not going to solve it. It's just going to prolong it. Instead, what I want you to do is go within, go into the heart, the energetic space of the heart, and connect with divine source. It is the answer to every problem. And it is the only way that you're going to be able to experience the renewal and the rebirth, that resurrection of your own being. It's the only way you're going to be able to move into the sunshine of unconditional love, which is the God force from which you were created and by which you are connected to God. It is the reason for your being. Now let me share with you something that has happened to me as a result of finally doing the work. As I said, it wasn't my first choice. It wasn't the thing that I thought I wanted to do. But things became so painful that I was driven inward, driven to my knees, driven to find God, because I had run out of answers. But now that I have entered the resurrection period and I walk with God on a daily basis, my life has become completely transformed. Now, when I literally go on a walk, it's springtime. Here in California, the flowers are blooming. The roses are out in full bloom. The jasmine is out. The scents are so incredible. And I'm so filled with joy that my first instinct is to run and stick my nose in the flowers. So I was out with the dog the other day in the morning, and there is one particular rose bush. It's an sort of orange-yellow rose. These blooms are huge, and it smells so divine that I make a habit of sticking my nose into all of the different blooms, just as close as I can get, every morning. And it occurred to me, I probably look a little kooky, not that I could care, but I certainly hope the owner doesn't think that I'm, doing something weird to their flowers. And sure enough, the other day, I've got my nose just as close as I can to this particular bloom. And in order to do that, I have to kind of stick my feet in their driveway and lean way over and lean in so I can avoid all of the thorns. And I'm in this posture with my butt sticking out. And sure enough, here comes the owner. Well, apparently I wasn't far enough in their driveway so they could still get in. And I turn around. I'm so surprised to see them. I'm like, oh, I just love your flowers. Every morning I smell your roses. Well, he broke into the biggest smile and he said, isn't that what life is all about? Stop and smell the flowers. And I was just realized how wonderful it is and I just realized how wonderful it is that we have this opportunity to live in this physical body where we can smell the flowers, when we can see the sunshine, we can hear the birds singing, see their beautiful colors. We can drink in with all of our senses these fabulous, wonderful gifts. So I want to encourage you, do the work in the winter months. Do the introspection, learn the techniques, apply them, spend time. It will be worth it. And when you feel that you're ready, when you are ready to enter the spring period, go out and smell the roses. It will be worth it to you. But when we are in these periods, like we've now got the full moon and we've got Passover and Easter. So we have all of these people on the planet focused on a common goal. That means the energy is going to be heightened. That means law of attraction has been activated. Therefore, as everybody is feeling the effects of the full moon, as they are feeling more of their emotional being brought to the surface, it is not punishment. It is an opportunity to make right, to address those issues that may not be serving your highest good. Conversely, with holidays like Passover and Easter, it's an opportunity to step into joy, to let go of those things that needed to die in your life so that you could truly come alive. Let's look at what exactly the holiday of Easter was supposed to mean. Remember that when Jesus walked the earth, there was no television, there were no telephones, there were certainly no cell phones, and no internet. But it was necessary for Jesus to get the message out about death, because the people that were living in the world at that time were under the impression that once you died, that was it. That you only had one chance, and if you screwed up, well, that's too bad, because that was the end. So you either had to get it right or just give up once you had screwed up, because there really was no way back. There was no way to redeem yourself or to make yourself more empowered. You either got it right or you completely screwed up. And that was the way it was. So Jesus chose to make a really dynamic statement. He could see that the people that were for him wanted to believe in him completely. They wanted to believe his message, that they could do even greater miracles than he could do if they would just allow the Holy Spirit to become part of their lives. But they were not convinced. Think how long it has taken us to be convinced of anything. And you'll know where they were. They were still scratching their heads. They were still wondering. They were still confused. This man tells us that we can do what he can do, but we're just not feeling it. We're not really sure that's true. It's a nice pipe dream, but I didn't turn water into wine, and I haven't risen anyone from the dead, and gosh, I'm just not sure. And now look, now they've condemned him to die. Well, that will be the end of his story. It will just be a nice story after all. He did help people while he was here. He did manage to feed all of the people. But if he dies, that will be the end. So I'm either going to watch to see what Jesus does. Either he'll completely just avoid death, he'll cheat death, or I will have been right all along and it will be the end of the story. So here comes the day of his crucifixion. Good Friday comes and Jesus says, "Sit with me a while." And even then, they are weak and unable to be with him as he contemplates what needs to occur. And it's not easy. There are periods in every spiritual journey when you're going to the next level where it feels like it's just too much to ask. He has a beautiful ceremonial supper with all of his disciples where he tries to share with them the truth that this is not the end. He assigns them all a role. that they are to carry forward in his name. But I would imagine that they are not really sure what this means. He hasn't told them what he's planning. He's leaving it as an element of surprise so he can really bring his point home. So now comes the day. They nail him on the cross, and he doesn't magically free himself from the cross. There are no fireworks and brimstone. There's no fireworks from heaven. No lightning bolt from heaven that strikes everyone dead that would dare to abuse this Son of God. He is allowed to die. That physical body is allowed to cease to exist. There's no more life in it. And with it dies the hope, the belief, I guess hope is the best word that I can come up with, but just the hope that this could be true. Instead, people are left feeling empty. They're lost, they're confused, they're heartbroken. They withdraw in sorrow and grief. They console each other, but they feel as though they've lost, and that they are lost. That it was a wonderful, magical dream while Jesus walked upon the earth with them, and yet, in 3 days, we have the resurrection. On Sunday, they go to anoint the body. The women who have been spending the weekend weeping in grief and in sorrow, shocked that God did not come and create a miracle to save the most beloved Son. And everyone is scratching their heads and questioning, well, if God won't even save Jesus, why would he intervene on our behalf? It must all be a hoax. It certainly felt good while Jesus was among us. But it's not feeling good now. So, they go to the grave to anoint the body. And in those days, they would create sort of a mausoleum. And Jesus was so revered that he was buried within a cave, and a big stone was rolled in front so that no wild animals could attack the body, and it would gently just decompose over time instead of being attacked by animals that were foraging for food. When they get to the body, the stone has been rolled back. The grave claws, those claws that they have used to wrap the body in again so that it can decompose without being ravaged by an animal, if an animal were small enough to get into the cave. The grave claws that they have wrapped him in have been laid aside, and nothing is there. And they come running out and say, he is risen. He is telling us the truth. There is something greater than this physical life that we believed was all that we could hang on to. There is a power greater than ourselves, and here it has been shown to us. And the women ran into the village and they spread the news. And it spread like wildfire, because he allowed himself to have such a public death, such a public humiliation. All eyes were on him. And then, when he allowed himself to rise from that physical body, to roll that stone away, to show that there is no death, that was so sensational that it allowed all eyes again to be on what is truly possible with God. And that's when the miracle occurred. That's when people began to change their mind about who they were. They began to understand what he had been teaching, that they were more than a physical body, that they too were made up of a spiritual essence that was part of God. And they then began to experience their own miracle within their own lives, because now they understood that resurrection was possible, that they could change the way they were viewing a situation. They could change the way they were thinking about a situation. They could change their actions. They could line up in harmony with God. And it was worth it because they were a spiritual being that went on forever. So the work that they chose to do in this lifetime wasn't going to just end in a couple of years, because at that point they only lived probably until 40, because it was a difficult, hard life of physical labor. Whatever they created was going to live on. It was going to take on a life of its own. It was going to become more powerful, have more truth, more exponential ability to help others transform their lives, just as they had been able to transform their own. This is resurrection power. This is when you understand the ministry of Jesus. And the ministry of Jesus was not to create a religion. It was for each one of us to understand that we are authentic spiritual beings. We have our own divine connection. That there is nothing that we can do, say, or think that is possible to disconnect us from God. We can shut down the connection till it's barely a trickle, but we will never be able to become so lost in our own being that we disconnect completely from God. God is the only way we are able to stay alive. God is the only beingness that exists, that is allowing us to exist in these physical bodies. So it's impossible for you to disconnect from God. It is possible for you to turn away from God, but even then, you can only turn so far. You will always maintain a connection. So anytime you choose to come running back, you become the prodigal son. Remember the story of the prodigal son. A father gives his two children, they both happen to be male in this story, the father gives the two children equal shares of inheritance. And they are to discover who they are with this inheritance. They are to step into their authentic selves. They are to become the powerful being that they've prepared to be in their growing up years. The first son says, "I am a dutiful son. I will do exactly as you have instructed me to do, Father. I will not stray from your path." And he invests his money wisely, and he creates a greater kingdom, and he expands within the structure provided by his father. The other one decides, "Oh my gosh, I'm free. I can't wait to explore and experience the world. I'm going to get into all and up to all sorts of things that could really cause me a lot of growing." I wanted to say cause me a lot of trouble, because I know that when I went off the grid, I caused myself an incredible amount of trouble, but I also caused myself a tremendous amount of growth. So let's redefine our period of disconnecting. It's no longer our period of trouble. Call it your period of seeking, your period of growth, your period of choosing to see what else is available. And I highly advise for everyone a period of choosing to see everything that you can explore. What does the world encompass? If you don't give yourself that period of time when you are actively out seeing what you don't want, you may spend the rest of your time in regret, wishing that you had done so. So go ahead and explore. You can't get it wrong. You can't make a mistake. You can't hurt yourself to the point where God will say, "Oh, you're done. I don't want anything to do with you." There is always a time when you can employ the power of the resurrection. You need to get back in line with God. So getting back to our story, the errant son, the son that went off crazy, spent all of his money on wine and women and song. And soon he found he had nothing to eat. And he had to take the worst job available at that time, and that was cleaning out a pig pen. And he felt pretty sorry for himself. He was lost in self-pity. And finally it came to him. I could go home. I will have to repent. I will have to admit that I was wrong. I will have to probably eat crow. Maybe my father won't even welcome me home. But I've gone as deep into the depth of hell as I can go, and I'm ready to try. When you have gone as deep into hell as you can go, when you have brought yourself to the depth of despair, it's time. It's time to come back home. And just as this young man returned home, not knowing what kind of a reception he would receive, with his head hanging low and self-pity as his garment of choice, you may return in that state of disgrace. But instead of getting a barred door, of hearing what a disgrace you are, or of being belittled, the father threw open the gates, killed the most succulent of the offerings that he had there on his farm, and had an incredible feast. You will not stay pitiful when you return to God. When you say, "I've had enough," you are going to find that God will open their arms to you. That unconditional love that has been pouring forth upon you will wash you clean of all of the hurt and the fear and the self-condemnation and self-criticism, if you will allow it. And you will have the ability to rise again. You will have the ability to enter back into joy, just as Jesus told us the story of the prodigal son who was welcomed back with open arms. And the other son that never left home said, "That's not fair." But Jesus corrected him. And Jesus said, "But it was your choice to stay here. You've not explored the depths and the breadth and the all that exists. You've chosen to stay here and to stay safe. You've played small. The other one has chosen to go to the ends of the earth and explore. They've gone big. And now we welcome them back because they bring with us a new experience that the collective consciousness was needing to learn. So even though you may have gone off in a direction that you feel was so beneath you, you have given great information to the collective consciousness of which we are all a part. You have helped me learn something without having to go on the adventure, just as I helped you learn something without you having to go to the places where I went that felt so dark, so sad, and so lonely. The resurrection power of love is never ending. It's unceasing, and it is always available. There is only one stipulation, and that is that you make yourself available. Just as the boy was cleaning the pig sty and said, okay, I've had enough. I'm ready to go back home and face whatever's waiting there for me, even if it is shame and blame. You must get yourself to the place where you say, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to admit that I can't do this on my own. I'm ready to see what God has for me. And if it is shame and blame, well, I guess I'll take a deep breath and I'll face that. But I'm here to tell you that if you believe that God will meet you with a baseball bat instead of open arms, you've been sadly misled. That is not of God. The universe does not respond to your willing heart with a door slammed in your face. Instead, you are lifted up. You are shown how you can rise from the ashes of your destruction. You're overcoming the ego which led you off into this crazy path so you could grow. The ego gave you a great service. It did you an incredible favor by allowing you to traipse off in every different direction, believing that you had the answer. Because now that you're coming back, you bring with you a wealth of experience. And you will know when you're getting off track, when you're having a problem, when you're needing to really reconnect. And if you have done your work properly in the winter of your life, you will have tools and techniques. Remember, we're giving ourselves 30 days to really absorb and sit with and practice the tools. The next 30 days, you may have been venturing out a little bit more. You may have been learning to apply those tools and techniques. When you work with me, that's the way it works. The first 30 days, I just hold your hand. The next 30 days, I'm guiding you, but I want to see what you're able to do. And generally we work in periods of 3 months, and the final 30 days, you are getting a chance to fly out of the nest and come back and report to me how it's going for you. And then we tweak it and we make it more suitable for you. We personalize everything so that it fits with you. That's the way I want you to look at your own spiritual practice, whether you choose to work with me or you want to work on your own. Allow it to be a personal experience. Please don't expect a cookie cutter approach to work for everyone. You have a personal relationship with your Creator that no one can imitate, that no one can achieve but you. Others can guide you, but only you can achieve it, and only you will be able to achieve it when you have a willing heart. Allowing is imperative. If you feel you need a guide, please schedule your consultation. It's free. Go to my website, marciamartinthehearthealer.com. Again, it's Marcia, spelled Marcia. Under the coaching page, the coaching tab, you will see a scheduling calendar. And that's the times when I am able to speak with you, not working with someone else. If you cannot afford one-on-one coaching, sign up for the community. There's an opportunity for group coaching in the community. That's the highest level of participation. But I have priced it so that anyone can receive help. There's no excuse. There's only unwillingness, or it's just not the right time. And that's okay. Be gentle with yourself. Say, I don't want to do this right now. It doesn't feel good. Okay. Dig underneath, take a look, find out whether that's really true or whether you're just afraid. If it's fear, you will find a home in the Healing Hearts community. You need to move forward. If it's really not the right time, if you're just not committed, that's okay. Honor yourself with wherever you are. But if you're ready to enter into your period of resurrection, you want to trace the pain or the hurt or the fear to its root. What's holding it there? Why has it been allowed to anchor in to your energetic system? What lie did you tell yourself? Now, I'm not calling you a liar, but when you tell yourself something that is not true, you are not telling yourself the truth. You are telling yourself a falsehood, or you're attaching to a false belief, and it's not for your highest good to allow this to continue. So I want you to approach with loving compassion. Leave judgment behind. You're never going to get anywhere if you keep insisting that you need to judge everything you do and say. But when you approach fear with love, fear cannot be sustained. Fear is an illusion. Fear doesn't stand on its own. Once you take away its support system, it can't do anything. It can't harm you. It can't hurt you. It's an illusion. Fear only has the power that you give to it. So once you give the power, once you take away fear's power, it's lost. Love is eternal and all-powerful. Its power never diminishes. However, both love and fear have the ability to increase. They increase when you focus upon them. Increase the love in your life, and you will automatically dissolve fear. The fear will diminish in the gentle light of love. Once, however, you have replaced the fear, and this is deep heart work, so you can't do it quickly, and you may have to go back in several times and approach from different directions, ask different questions, really probe until you've gotten deep enough so that you've removed all traces of that fear product. But once you've gotten everything removed, or you've gotten as much as you can remove at this time, you don't want to leave a big empty void in your spiritual field. So make sure that you bring in the Holy Spirit light, that unconditional love of acceptance that God has for you. Source will never send you fear. They will never send you negativity or limiting beliefs. So fill with love, fill with acceptance, fill with the knowledge that you are deeply loved and revered, so that fear will have no new place to take root in your energetic being. Let the power of love resurrect your being. Rise up and align with God. Allow yourself to have an Easter Sunday throughout the year. You don't have to wait for the spring season. And in terms of time of year, you can have an Easter every day of your life. You can choose to let go of that belief system that is holding you back and rise up into the truth, into a place that feels good, into alignment with God. It's a beautiful place to be, and Source will never condemn or criticize you. Even if you find throughout your day that you've disconnected for some reason, lovingly get back on point. We said earlier, lovingly, without criticism. Wow, look at me. I realized that I took a nosedive here. I got disconnected. Let me correct that. Let me realign myself with Source. Let me fill with confidence and certainty. Let me love myself so completely that I say yes to all of the unconditional love that is pouring forth upon me, upon the earth, upon everyone without ceasing. Because when I fill with love, I honor first myself, and then I automatically honor everyone around me. But I cannot do or be or give anything I don't already own. That's why everything must first start with the self. Fill yourself up first. Own it, practice it, do it, be it. Become the resurrection power. New life energy that springs forth automatically when you embrace the truth, when you stop telling yourself something that is false, when you stop buying into the societal belief that says you'll never amount to anything, and you start opening up to all that you already are, you're engaging in the resurrection power of love. It's not that you're becoming something that you weren't. It's that you are finally allowing yourself to become everything you already were. And so in that way, just like the prodigal son, you're coming home. You're coming home to your greatness. You're coming home to your vastness, to your miracle ability, the miracle power that resides within you to create for yourself and for your loved ones a life of joy and abundance, a life of prosperity. It's a wonderful life. And all those who encounter you, whether it is in the physical being, in the physical state, or just through whatever work that you may be doing, if they happen to hear you give a speech or interact with you in that way, or on a podcast such as this one, you're going to be giving them the opportunity to share in your resurrection power. All they have to do is say, I now allow the power of love to heal me, to transform me and to help me renew my entire being. I want to help you do that for yourself by sharing with you the incredible power of love that is all that you are. So until next Sunday, I am sending you all my love, and I invite you to visit my webpage and take advantage of the incredible offerings that are there, as I want to shower you with unconditional love. Marcia Martin, thehearthealer.com. Marcia spelled Marcia. So again, until next Sunday, I'm sending you all my love.
You've been listening to another fabulous program on Angel Heart Radio. Our goal is to remind you of how much you matter in the world and to let you know that we appreciate who you are in the world. You can check out who's on, when we're on, and who our guests are at angelheartradio.com. Everything is there. It's all just one click away. Angel Heart Radio programs are powerful tools to help you in your life and your life experience. They are not intended, nor should they be used to replace your medical or legal advice. The views and opinions expressed by Angel Heart Radio hosts, guests, co-hosts and associates should not be construed as advice from Angel Heart Radio.